It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris.
And my name is Mike.
And this week we've got all your D23 details. Well, at least the superhero side. We're not going to dive into the animation as much, or probably the parks as much, but boy, what an eventful week it has been for D23, Mike.
Yes, exactly.
I sent 7 videos to Mike earlier today, including looks at, and this is a sample, Daredevil Born Again, Fantastic Four First Steps, The Mandalorian and Grogu, Andor Season 2, and so much more. We got a lot of cam videos that we can't share, but we are going to discuss because you can find them on the internet fairly easily.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Usually we get really hyped and really energetic for Comic-Con weekend to run down all the news. And only every other year do we get D23, and they really came in full force this weekend with a lot of news. So I think we're just going to jump right into it because we have so many interesting bullet points to talk about this week where I feel like I could go an hour on every little thing that we got going here. But I did finish watching season 4 of The Boys, and I wasn't going to talk about it, and I'm probably still not going to until maybe we have an episode where we can kind of talk about it a little bit more clearly, maybe when you get around to catching up on it, Chris. But they do have their own version of D23 in this season of The Boys, and it's called V52, which I just thought was really hilarious, and they just do a really good job at just kind of making fun of panel presentations at these big conventions, and I thought it was really funny. So if you're needing a reason to watch the latest season of The Boys, that one's pretty funny, so go check that out. But this week, we're talking about the real D23 and not V52.
Yes. Before I begin, I want to say we put out some... You were on these, Mike, because I just want to put out there. We did some a recap episode with Patrick on Gen Con from last week and some of our interviews this week. So I want to thank Patrick for doing that with me and kind of we spent an hour just kind of riffing on the event if you've never been, and it was a really good time. So if anyone hasn't checked that out yet, it's a fun little listen. We do not go into how to play the games. We just had a good time riffing on it. So I want to thank Patrick for that. And if anyone has any feedback or anything like that, on the gaming side of stuff, let us know because we hope to maybe go back again next year and do a little bit more. So thank you, Patrick. But as Mike said, it's D23. D23 is a bi-yearly event, so every 2 years. And I think it always happens in California. Is that right? This does not... I don't think it moves around very frequently. I
think so. I think it's always at the Anaheim Convention Center. At least in recent history, it's been.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm very excited when D23 comes around because you get a lot more than just Comic-Con. We got the 3 Marvel movies, really 4, I guess, with the announcement of Doomsday. But here we got TV shows, we got video games, we got park information, we got the movies again. I couldn't keep up with the information flowing at me, Mike, and. My wife, we are not X users or Twitter as you would call it, but she was getting a lot of information about the parks and some of the other information coming through that kind of fits her algorithm. So it was really cool to see all this information come at us, and we're both getting different information and kind of sharing it back and forth. So that was absolutely fun. So we're gonna jump into D23. I want to talk about last night. I stayed up way too late last night, Mike. Well past. What would you call it? Midnight here, because I was trying to watch the Fortnite stream of the D23 panel in Fortnite. So if you went in Fortnite, they actually live streamed the panel into the game, so you could watch it, which was really cool. And this coming Friday, the 16th of August, they are launching another Marvel season called Absolute Doom, which is cool for 2 reasons. One, it's Marvel, and number 2, it's a chance for them to put in some B-list characters as the characters you unlock, because they're saving their regular characters for your money. They want you to buy the big dollar signs, right? The Iron Mans, the Captain Americas, the Thors. They want you to spend your money on those, so they're not going to give them to you. So instead we get War Machine, we get Gwenpool, Emma Frost, Mysterio, obviously Doctor Doom, Black Panther, Shuri is in there and some abilities. So it was really fun to see that season kind of announced. But they also had the four pillars of Disney. Kevin Feige, they had oh my gosh, the Pixar guy. Who's head of Pixar?
They had Pete Docter,
Yes.
Jennifer Lee, and then our one and only Star Wars god. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Yes, I'm having the same moment. I think we're sharing a vibe here today. But,
Dave Filoni, there
Dave
it
Filoni,
is.
Yeah, Dave Filoni. So they all announced different things. So coming up is that Disney's villains are coming into the game. So obviously they had like Maleficent, and Hook, and Captain Hook, and some other ones. Star Wars, they have IG-88 and some bounty hunters coming in. To also Grogu backtrack where he eats a little cookie and throws up like he did in the show. So I know you're all about the throw up these days, Mike.
It's so it's so funny to see Disney thread the needle when they add things to Fortnite, right? Because it's what character gets a gun until they, release whatever like Disney Island or whatever they're trying to make or hint at, where maybe they can have more characters that aren't violent. So like when Pete Docter walks up and he's just like, "Hey, we're adding Pixar characters to Fortnite," I'm just like. Yeah. What characters can you add to Fortnite? Like this is not going to work with like Woody with like a bazooka or a sniper rifle. And then they did probably the only move that they could do is they did 3 incredible characters and they're all adult characters. They didn't put any of the kids in there. Yeah, the kid skins wouldn't fit up there. I would also say kind of Buzz Lightyear would almost fit a little bit, right? Because obviously he's got a laser and stuff like that. That's like again very fine line to do with your Pixar characters until they introduce the big Disney experiences where you don't need to shoot people, right? Where it's more games and like just existing with the IP rather than shooting. So it's been a fine an interesting thing because there are only outside of Marvel. There in Star Wars, there have only been 2 other Disney characters added to the game, Mike. Jack Sparrow and Jack Skellington. So if your name's Jack, you've got a pretty good chance you're going to be thrown in here if you're on a Disney property. That's pretty ironic since there's an Incredibles character that's named Jack.
Twice.
Named
Jack
twice.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't think we're getting Jack with a semi-automatic anytime soon.
But we can hope. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, Absolute Doom's coming. Looking forward to playing that this weekend. Another Marvel season along the way. Moving on, Avengers Campus. Mike, you are a little closer to Avengers Campus than I am. I've only been once. You have I wouldn't say walking distance, but you're fairly close. And they announced the E-ticket this weekend. So are you familiar with the Avengers E-ticket they announced?
This was announced last D23, I believe, which would have been 2 years ago, and we talked about it on the show. We had some like cool concept art actually of it was kind of like this multiversal ride where we're jumping around from world to world trying to defeat a version of Thanos that won. And after that, it was radio silence for like literally 2 years until this weekend. So we got to see not only it officially, like I guess re-announced, but they showed us where it's going to go in the park, which is exciting. I believe when we were there, Chris, there's just this big empty wall with like a shield, like armored vehicle. It was kind of in the area. Remember when we looked up on the balcony and we saw Captain America up there kind of like looking down on us? It's kind of right over there in that area is where the entrance is going to be. The most boring
part of that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right down the street where we saw the celebrity on the corner that we should have talked to. But yeah, absolutely. So it's cool. So I've linked the video to their screen where they show off the ride seat, I guess, if you would look at that like that. And then also Old Man Thanos, King Thanos, whatever he's called. I think it's King Thanos. We got some close-ups, some standees, and some displays from the floor here. This is cool. This would have been the ride I wish was there when I got there, Mike. The other ones were fine, but boy, this is a huge win, I think, for Marvel at Disney. Overall.
Avengers Campus really needed it. They have another ride that they're adding in as well. It kind of seems it's not as big, it's small, but it seems like at least it's themed to the area, and it's going to be, I think it's like Tony Stark's like test flight or something, where it seems like they're just going to attach you to one of those like robot arms that you see in like car manufacturing plants, and they're just going to put bucket seats on you and like spin you in a circle. So it kind of reminds me as like an insanely themed like fair attraction which I'm okay with. I think it could be fun. It needs the land needs as much as it can get, so that's fun. But
it's
now,
unique enough. I think that's unique enough as well to do that. And Robert Downey Jr. is coming back as Iron Man for that ride as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so now it's all down to speculation with all of the parks news that was updated of, where are things going? Where do they fit? What's getting demolished? And what's getting replaced? I'm curious, though, this Avengers ride, what the kind of ride mechanic's going to be. They just had a really small teaser video of kind of like showing you how you quote unquote jump through dimensions or whatever. Mm-hmm. And to me, everything looks like it's coded as, this is going to be like a Star Tours ride. I don't know if
the vibe I got as well was Star Tours. Like they can it's a smaller pod and it looks like it could move around, but because it looks like you have 4 to 6 people maybe in one of these little seat dudes. So I think you have it's a smaller Star Tours, where Star Tours is obviously still the airport scenario. Yeah, from the 90s.
And I don't know exactly how much the ride car will move, but Chris, you and I both agree Star Tours is one of the best rides in the park.
I fucking love it so much, and they're making a toy of it.
Yeah, and it's one of the kind of more simpler ride mechanics. It's just a container that moves in front of a 3D screen. So if that is all it ends up being, I'm okay with it.
And the cool part about it is, because if they have the multiverse, they can throw any scenes and actors they want into this, Mike. Right? Kind of like how Star Tours has we're gonna see Rey or Finn or Poe or Luke or Han. Yeah. So they could literally do this with multiverses of Marvel characters as well.
And they could update it as well, possibly too, in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Very updatable. I love Star Tours. I would love a Marvel tours kind of thing, the multiverse tours. But we've got those videos there. Those are official videos. Sadly, we don't have the leaked videos. But I think now we're out of that. We're going to get to the meat. The biggest, I think, to me, this is one of the biggest ones out here, Mike. And that was, they showed off the first trailer for Daredevil Born Again to an audience. And it has been online, so if you go look online, you can find it. Boy, howdy, are they... you've used the word coded several times in this episode. And I believe Daredevil Born Again is very coded to the Netflix series that I never finished the 3rd season of. And now this makes me need to go watch that 3rd season. But boy, I missed this. I really have missed Daredevil as a show for the past several years, right? Almost a decade next year.
Yeah, I'm really curious. I mean, the trailer, looks intense. It looks cool. Like you said, seems like we're jumping right back into Daredevil. Mm-hmm. I'm curious how the transition is going to work. It's been so long since we've been in that kind of Netflix world.
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of thought in that very first episode of how do we get people back into the mood, because there's a reveal, I guess, kind of quote reveal in the trailers, you get to see Jonathan Bernthal. Yeah. I think they show the actor that played Bullseye in season 3.
They show Bullseye. They show Karen and Foggy as well, and it looks like that first episode is probably going to have to recap the Netflix saga and close it off and then start over, kind of thing, to focus on the Kingpin. And we did see a quick shot. If you pause, you can find the character Muse, who we've heard is the villain, the artistic villain. And they even had a setup there that you could kind of see that teases Muse with the Daredevil Born Again, the D, for the double D logo, if you will, and then the Kingpin side. And it was just really cool to see this. But I think, to me, I even have it as one of our main shots in our images in our videos here, is the fact there's 5 Daredevil suits, a helmet shown at once in this. They're going to be giving us all sorts of Daredevil action and designs.
Maybe that's kind of like an indication, when I saw that scene of all of his different kind of outfits, uniforms, if you will, of this is the time that's passed since the Netflix series ended and when this new one started. So he's been doing stuff. He's been busy in between the last time we saw him, and maybe this is kind of a way to let the audience know of he's been at it. He hasn't stopped.
Yeah, one of the other characters that is in this is Miss Marvel's dad. She's in this. He's in this for a couple shots. So it looks like it'll also again have some crossover with the larger MCU. He was in Spider-Man and She-Hulk, but he does do his line. What kind of lawyer are you? A really good lawyer. And I just love this so much. And then another news, the Newton brothers, who did X-Men 97, will be composing the series, which is fun. This was a great trailer. I'm hyped for Daredevil again. I feel 2025 is going to be a pretty good Marvel year overall, based on Daredevil and another movie. Actually, it's not even on the page I'm looking at yet. It's so far down. We'll talk about. So I'm pretty excited with this, Mike. I recommend anyone finds this footage if they can and watch it and talk to us. In official news, Agatha All Along got an official trailer release on the upcoming series, and at the show they had a panel, not a panel, a display doing the Witches Road theme song, which is an actual song, but they also play over the entire trailer. And I'm digging this trailer, Mike. It's very witchy. It seems to be playing up some of the other horror movie tropes along the way. Look like The Ring and some other stuff. It feels like they're having a good time. And again, directed and created by Jack Schaefer, who did WandaVision, along with Matt Shackman, who's doing Fantastic Four. It feels like there's energy here and like a vision, and they're really going for that vision. And it just feels good. I don't know. How do you feel about the Agatha All Along trailer here?
Yeah, it seemed very comparable to the other trailer we talked about on the show the other week, but maybe leaning a little bit more into the drive of the show, which is this Witches Road. That seems to be, you get to the end of the Witches Road and then she gets back everything she wants. It does kind of alarm a part in my brain that, maybe it doesn't need to be worried, but I always hate the plot device in shows where we're like in a dream or something like that, or we're in a otherworldly place where, maybe there's consequences of a character dying, but outside of that, you're in a totally fictional, I guess, for lack of a better word, fictional place to them. Yeah. So I don't know where this Witches Road exists. Like, is it another dimension? Is it a space in her head or something like that? Yeah. I just hate plots where it's like, it was in their head the whole time or something like that.
It is not. I will say it's not in her head. It's very similar from the comic book. It's more of it's multiversal, but like also like kind of like a witch, like a kind of how like Wanda had was it Westfield, I guess, a little bit hidden behind her thing. So I will appease you right now. It's not in her head. How about that?
I mean, that's a good sign. So, obviously everyone loved Agatha and WandaVision. I think there's a lot of crossover in between the two series, if I remember correctly. Between I don't remember if it's writers or showrunners exactly.
At least,
but I mean the pedigree seems to be there. So yeah, I'm down to watch.
Yeah, there was one scene. It did show the '70s house from WandaVision. It looks like they're going to be visiting different areas and dealing with, I guess, the horrors. Maybe the horrors are attacking them. Aubrey Plaza appears to be the villain. She shows up out of the dirt at one point, and I saw a lot of comments on the video be like, Aubrey Plaza wasn't cast in the show. She just showed up out of the dirt one day, and they just didn't tell her to leave. So it seems pretty fun. A lot of again witchy imagery. I think there's like a fire demon at one point, and like I said, the ring girl and some other stuff. So I'm excited to see how they lean into the actual witchcraft and stuff into this a little bit. And it's coming up pretty soon, September 18th on Disney. We are just a little over a month away from that. So I'm excited to check that out. We're going to go into an area where we don't have any footage yet. Now, this might come out later. We weren't able to get anything official, but we had some Marvel animation stuff, and we were teased this several weeks ago. Marvel Animation would have a presence here at D23, and first up is What If. Brad Winterbaum confirmed that What If Season 3 will be the final season of the show and wrap up The Watcher, if you will, from the show's version, and kind of do that. I think that's a smart call, right? I don't think we need to keep pushing the show further beyond Season 3. Couple other fun facts. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it makes me think ending with a season 3, maybe they're starting to see like just a decline in enthusiasm for the show. After season 2, there was this like huge push, it seemed, with Marvel Animation to spin off, this zombie show and everything. It seemed like, this What If show is going to be like a launching pad for a lot of projects. And then now it's like, nope, it's stopping with season 3. Yeah. So I wonder if maybe metrics is possibly driving this, or the broader maybe umbrella call to arms of like, we're doing less, but
I think it's less. I think it's a call for less, because as soon as season 3 or 2 ended, we actually had the season 3 teaser, right? That we saw a couple of them. There was the Winter Soldier with the Red Guardian in like a car kind of doing a thing. So I do think it's more of a like we got 3 seasons of the show, we're good. It's probably expensive as well getting all the actors back, because I'm going to say my next bit of notes here, Oscar Isaac is returning as Moon Knight, and he will be piloting a mech suit in this as well. We did see some of the mech suit images for season 3 come up. And then Shang-Chi, he'll be in an old Western setting from some of the stuff they talked about, or maybe showed. I don't know. We don't have it. That's cool. I think, at least having an ending in sight is better than like them canceling the show, then you don't get anything to really satisfy that. So it sounds like we're going to get in that. And then honestly, after this, it'll be great because, the multiverse will probably be ending by the time, a season 4 even would have rolled around, right? With the wrap up of Doomsday and Secret War. So sounds good for me. If we get anything on this to look at or show, we'll put it in next week for you guys. X-Men 97 season 2, obviously hot show this year, Mike. Really, really hot show. Mm-hmm. Season 2 sizzle reel showed off, obviously the return of Wolverine. I don't think no one thought he was gonna die, to be completely honest. It's Wolverine. A character called Warlock, Nightcrawler fighting in a temple, Havoc, who was Scott Summers' younger brother, Polaris, who was Magneto's other daughter. She was in the X-Men show that on Fox that didn't go anywhere, if you remember that one. It was really weird. And then the Morrison costumes, which are the yellow and black costumes from, I believe, the early 2000s. So sounds like, they're going to be leaning into more recent storylines and bringing in some other characters that they didn't really bring in a lot of extra characters in season 1 along the way. So
yeah, it's kind of cool. It seems like now the show has delivered on its pitch perfect nostalgia that we all wanted, and we all bought in, and now we're back in the universe, and now they're elevating and evolving past it, right? They're like, oh, we're past the trick of just pleading to the inner child. Now we're just going to move forward with like an awesome X-Men show. So the fact that they're dedicated to moving forward with the suits, because we did see them in the final episode kind of lean back into those older, even original X-Men suits from the comics. It's cool to see them like, oh no, let's just go forward. There's so much X-Men stuff that we can do. Yeah,
and in animation, if you're animated, you can put them in whatever costume they need to be, right? Like the costumes are, you put them over the models and they kind of work. So I'm excited to see it. I wish we had a visual on this one. Maybe it'll pop up later, but X-Men 92 or X-Men 97 season 2 is big high on my watch list. I don't think it'll be next year, Mike. I'm thinking it'll be maybe 2026, but I'll be welcoming it with open arms whenever it lands along the way. Next dimension Marvel Zombies is being announced as a spin-off series after season 1 of What If, because of the little episode, and they did confirm it will have 4 episodes in this mini event series. And one of the clips they showed was Shang-Chi and Katie sharing the 10 rings to fight a Skrull biker gang in like a wastelands. So it's not like they're going to be fighting zombies all the time. It seems like there's going to be like essentially a post-apocalyptic zombie world overall, if you will.
All right. I mean, I guess if I had to canonize it, I guess if Earth is starting to seem more vulnerable, an alien race might choose to show up and maybe claim some territory.
Or, there were like how many millions of Skrulls from Secret Invasion, they said, so there could be some just stranded there, couldn't get off the planet. So kind of with that. But I'm excited for this. I believe it'll probably be in the same animation as What If along the way. Eyes of Wakanda is the other series we know coming from Ryan Coogler and I forget the other person's name, but it's also confirmed to have 4 episodes as well, and is heavily implied from Coogler himself that an Iron Fist will be in the series, since it tells the history of Earth through the Wakandan spies, not just today's time. So as long as it's not the guy from the Netflix show, I think I'll be happy, right?
Yeah, we'll see, I guess.
And I don't have any images of this. It's hard to say, but they did say they were inspired by making the show look like an artist painting, because it's telling the story of the Wakandans from the history of through their eyes of Wakanda. So I'm excited to see kind of what the art style looks like. It will not be the What If style that I've seen every image take that one T'Challa image from and just keep reusing it over and over. I'm like, it's not going to look like that. It's not from the show. So I'm excited to see what this looks like throughout that.
Yeah, it kind of seems like the strategy Star Wars is doing when they want to tell some maybe flashback stories or, flesh out some other characters. They've been doing those kind of small, like, what is it? The one where they had like Count Dooku
Tales of the Jedi. Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah,
Tales,
seems like a Tales of the
Jedi
Jedi type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the smaller episode count works. I don't think you have to pull everything into 8 to 10 episodes. So, excited to check that out whenever it comes out. I think it's later this year. Lastly, for animation, we do have one. This actually has visuals, and that's the Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show, which is gone through. Used to be called Spider-Man Freshman Year, but they gave us a good splash panel of the characters, a lot of characters in this universe here, kind of along with the different Spider-Man suits he'll kind of be wearing throughout this. And I thought this was a really cool image. It looks like comic book art, like back in the 60s when they used to take the comic books and kind of animate them a little bit by moving their mouths a little bit. So it's got that classic comic book feel along the way on this. Anything on the splash page kind of catch your eye?
Yeah, the crazy Venom up in the corner.
Yeah.
I don't know what character has been venomized up here.
It's like Kraven and like also an actual spider.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what it is, but you got Daredevil in the mix in here, Iron Man, Doctor Strange. I'm just more curious what's the shelf life on this show?
Yeah.
The shelf life on every animated Spider-Man project, it usually doesn't get
2
more
years?
than like 3 seasons.
Yeah.
So not holding my breath.
I would say they probably have enough in the can for 2 seasons of this. I think it's fine. It's a multiversal story because next to the actual classic Spider-Man suit in the green suit is this version's Norman Osborn, who will be voiced by Coleman Domingo, who was actually he'll be like, and they showed a clip. He's like actually Peter's guy in the chair in like one episode. Like he is coaching Spider-Man and becoming like that Iron Man version of him in the show. And for those who don't remember, Coleman Domingo was previously rumored to take over as Kang in the MCU. And then lastly, one more thing. We have Spider-Man in his proto suit. Cool looking design. Looks like every Spider-Man wearing a sweater and jeans and knee pads swinging around. But you get to see Norman Osborn in the image behind him along the way. I'm excited to see this in action. I think we've seen enough stills that I would love to see what the motion looks like for this art style. All right, back to the goodies. This is some more leaked footage, and this stuff is the good stuff here because Captain America: Brave New World. They showed the San Diego Comic-Con trailer to the audience, and we got a full leak of this trailer, Mike. The full leak. And for those who are interested, yes, you can find Harrison Ford's Red Hulk online because it is everywhere. It is going to be the image for until this trailer is officially released, and it'll be a high-res version of that image for everybody for a little bit. It's cool to watch this. He talks about seeing kind of Sam seeing a bunch more of the action scenes. Not a whole lot of stuff is revealed here, Mike. It's just really cool to finally see what the people at San Diego got to see through a high-res leak on here. Yeah,
it looks like Harrison Ford too. I mean, they're always really good at blending these Hulk characters with the actor at hand. So they nailed that problem a while ago. So I'm sure sooner or later somebody's going to create an AI filter on TikTok where you can see what you look like as a Hulk.
About the time this movie comes out in was it February? I think it'll be everywhere. We'll just have it with that. I did have another clip I did not send you. I just kind of got here right before the show started. There's like a 2-minute clip of Harrison Ford and Thunderbolt Ross introducing adamantium to the world. So they did confirm again he's got adamantium, and that Harrison Ford wants to reassemble the Avengers, despite the fact he created the Sokovia Accords. Not Harrison Ford, Thunderbolt Ross. President Ross, I guess, at this point. So I'm very excited to see this movie. I know we've talked about going through a couple reshoots here and there, but it sounds like they've taken some of those that feedback to heart and crafted a better movie out of it. So very excited to see that. The one trailer that has not come out of San Diego Comic-Con yet is Thunderbolts, and it's really annoying for me because I'm like, this is like under everyone else's radar. Nobody else gives a shit who the Thunderbolts is. I know the Sentry's in here, and I want to see this trailer so bad, just because I know he's in there. But it's not leaking anywhere. However, there was an intro reel for Marvel Studios, and they did share an official look at Florence Pugh as Yelena in the movie very quickly in that new reel. So they are leaning heavily on her star power as an actress, but also the character alone, it sounds like, going forward through the Thunderbolts and possibly the Avengers movies as well.
Yeah, I truly hope we get that leak for you sooner rather than later. I'd love to see that Sentry.
Yes. Also, a quick note on this, Yelena. She does take Scarlett Johansson's blonde look, short hair, in a kind of outfit. It looks like from what it was Infinity War, right? When she wore that stuff. Mm-hmm. So seems to be really heavily stylized off that. Love their interaction in Black Widow. So looking forward to seeing more. So now we get to some Fantastic Four first steps, some official stuff and some fun stuff. So I guess this was a clip they showed at the thing where the cast is filming in London, so they sent a little thing back. And we get a look at the cast on set. We don't get to see the Thing, obviously, because it's a CG role, but we get to see, obviously, Mr. Fantastic, Sue Storm, or I guess Richards. I guess they might be married here. And our first look at Johnny Storm in his super suit and the blonde hair as well. They've been hiding the hair on him, so it looks like they're going the full blonde hair for I can't think of this guy's actor. He's in Stranger Things. He's Eddie in Stranger Things.
Eddie Munson. He will forever be Eddie Munson.
Yeah, exactly. And he was just in the Quiet Place Day One movie. So great actor. But I mean, this is a cool. I love the retro futuristic set. They are obviously sitting down to have a meal together. I know they're going to hold on to that Thing reveal until much later, but this is so cool to see the sets built and stylized like this. Not a single green screen in sight, if you notice as well. Mm-hmm. What do you think of the suit? What do you think of the Johnny suit he's wearing here?
I mean, I think it looks great. I think it fits the tone. Reminds me very much of Johnny Quest era. Avoid the brain rot of the internet, because I've already seen so many side-by-sides where they're putting John Krasinski's Fantastic Four suit from Multiverse of Madness next to this one, and they go, oh, which one do you like better? And everyone's like, oh, the new one's trash. It's just like, well, it doesn't. Okay, you have absolutely no context for the new suit. It just drives me crazy. So. Right.
Yeah,
the internet never fails to upset me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's always someone causing controversy on there. I like that he's wearing gloves as well, like, as someone who can turn his body and he's got gloves on, right, rather than open hands. And also, this was just them saying it can be. I love Pedro Pascal. He's got his little vest on. He's wearing a Sunday best, right, having dinner with his family. I love it. So you can check out that image from that. They also redid They also showed the clip from San Diego Comic-Con, which you'd already seen and leaked. It was fun to rewatch that. I just rewatched it again. And it did confirm that the music used in that test footage was already written by Michael Giacchino, and they did unveil that theme officially on I think on Twitter, or I think maybe even Instagram, the full theme, just instrumental. So that goes to show people who are like, oh, they just hired somebody, obviously they got to start working today. That's not how this works. Usually the announcements means they've been working on it for a while. They're just officially working on it, or officially on the project. So it's fun to hear that main theme. And I love at the end they do a Fantastic Four chorus tagline on the instrumental, and it's so perfect. It feels 60s. It feels Tomorrowland, or like something you hear when you're at Disney World or Disneyland's Tomorrowland, right? So I'm just so happy he nailed that in there along the way. A couple set photos I sent to you earlier this week, Mike, from Fantastic Four show them building sets, and as you mentioned, Juicy Fruit transcends dimensions in time.
Yes, exactly. This isn't the Spider-Verse version of like Coca-Cola. I don't remember exactly. Was it maybe just spelled with a K or something in that movie? This is the legit Juicy Fruit. It will bind the universe with its gummy texture. Yes. That's what's going to stop all these incursions.
Wrigley's Juicy Fruit. You watch. It'll happen. A cheeseburger saved Miles Morales in the Secret Wars comic books, Mike. You're not far off here. And then another thing I sent to you, it's a very far. This is the most telephoto lens you could get here. It's even looks like feels some smudging, but you get to see Vanessa Kirby's Sue Storm on set in her blue suit, longer hair. I want than the photo we saw, holding a child. So again, leaning into those things that they will have had Franklin Richards as a baby in these movies as well. Leaning into at least the Fantastic Four first steps. Could be their first steps, could be their kids' first steps. You never know. The double entendres, triple entendres they put in these movies. But it's cool to know that they're doing that and they're filming out there. So I expect to see more open set photos along the way. This was the movie I was talking about. I'm very hyped for Fantastic Four next year, Mike. I can't put my finger out, but like Matt Shackman, again, obviously worked with Jack Schaefer on WandaVision. This feels like it has, again, vision and a thought and so well designed to be unique. So I'm just really happy with this, what I'm seeing so far. Hopefully it delivers at the end of the day, but I'm very excited. Couldn't agree more, Chris. Yes. Moving on, we're going to shift into Star Wars territory. Dave Filoni, I'm never going to forget that name again after earlier. Skeleton Crew had an official trailer released at D23. So this isn't a leak, so you can check it here. Our links are always in the show notes for everything that we can share. Kind of gives me, as everyone said when they're making it, it feels like Goonies vibes, right? A little bit. A bunch of kids want to go on an adventure, get out of town. They stumble upon a ship that takes them where they don't know. They get trapped, or I guess imprisoned, and they become friends with Jude Law's Jedi at the end of this. I am very happy the little elephant alien-looking kid speaks English. I thought we were going to have to do one of those translations or where they talk in response to like the alien gibberish the whole time, kind of like how they do in some of the other Star Wars movies. So I was very excited they all speak the common language in this for the kids along the way here.
Yeah, it feels like a Steven Spielberg movie to me as well. It's fun to kind of see the suburbs kind of being adapted in a Star Wars universe. I don't know if they've had any sort of official language come out about where these characters reside, but obviously they're on some sort of very safe, probably centralized planet within the galaxy, and these kids have never known any sort of like strife and are looking for adventure, not unlike Luke Skywalker was looking for. But just every time I hear about this show, I think about how the inception of the show came directly from John Watts when he was chatting with Jon Favreau on the set of one of the Spider-Man movies he was directing. Like he just like, oh, this would be a fun idea, and Jon Favreau's like, you want to make it? Yeah, let's do it. Let's go. Yeah. So I think that's really cool. It comes from a place of creative spark, which sometimes it feels like we don't always get in these big franchises, and also. John Watts is probably one of the most successful Marvel directors that nobody knows about. Yep. Nobody talks. He's not a named. He's not a household name, even though he's directed some of the best Spider-Man stuff that we've seen. So it'll be kind of excited to see him do, something else, even though not necessarily an original IP, but I'd like to see him take another stab at something that I already love,
Yeah, and I think the thing is with this, unlike all the other, I would say most of the Star Wars stuff, we had what was that? The Acolyte. This one also has no characters. Like, we're not leaning on legacy characters, right? We don't have Han Solo or Luke Skywalker or any of the new characters or any of the old characters coming into this. It looks to be brand new characters that we will kind of adventure along with, right? Learn them along the way, and that seems pretty interesting to me. They did show some of the character models on set. Remember, it was in Mandalorian and Grogu. Then they fight, like, I guess that pirate dude in season 3. One of his little buddies zooms off, and that guy is in this at some point. So it sounds like maybe they're not too far lost, but I'd be interested to see kind of where they end up and how they get home, because there have been rumors this ties somehow into the Filoni-verse, but it doesn't feel like it from watching this along the way. One of the most fun trailers I sent you to watch, Mike, was the Mandalorian and Grogu demo reel. Sizzle reel. It's a demo reel because they only started filming this show like a month ago. So a lot of it, like the opening for this trailer / teaser, it starts with old clips that we've seen, but then quickly jumps into some new stuff. And it looks to be possibly even test footage along the way, including Zeb Aurelios, who is from Star Wars Rebels. We saw him at the end of Mando Season 3. We get to see some AT-ATs, some snowtroopers, a little, it's not an AT-ST, but it's like a small walker version, and so much more. This looked like a good time already, and it sounds like they're having a fun time making this movie, Mike.
Yeah, this seems like it's got to be wish fulfillment for Filoni, right? He's been able to do a lot, I'm sure, of what he's wanted to do with his shows on Disney Plus, but this is a film production, huge budget, big screen, and he's like, let's do the tiny little ATSTs. The snowtroopers with the freaking cloth over their face is always like cool. It's like, let's just do it. Let's just do it all.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if that is Hoth or just another Cold Planet with that. And then Jon Favreau obviously directing as well, so carrying some weight with him. This was a fun little teaser to watch there. Didn't reveal a whole lot, but is pretty cool. This movie's coming out May 22nd, 2026. But before we go to the next part, I wanted to bring up a little thing I didn't write down, and it's that the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run ride is being transitioned to have a Mandalorian version coming up. So instead of doing just the regular Smuggler's Run, they're going to be doing a where you're flying alongside the Mandalorian and Grogu in some of their adventures, and that'll probably be out about the time this movie hits as well. So
which is great, because that ride desperately needs a little bit of a refresh, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's fun, but like, it took us how long to walk in there when we wrote it a couple months ago? Like, the walk, there wasn't a line. The walk alone was like 5 minutes to get in there. So I know, like, Disney's lines, but it's like, man, just get us in here. Let's do this. We had the kids who didn't really know what they were doing. So as it being quote unquote a game ride, it's hard to win sometimes with that. But yeah, I absolutely agree. Mike, I sent this over to you because I thought you would get a bigger kick out of it. Andor Season 2 production teaser was shown at D23. Unofficially, we have it leaked. Again, they've confirmed Andor takes place over 4 years. They've got some familiar places such as director Krennic coming back. They've got K2SO in this season, Mike, played and mocapped on set by Alan Tudyk, the man who does everything. What does he not do these days? I'm excited. A lot of this, if you watch, they were filming it on sets and like cornfields, right? Like they weren't, we applauded season 1 for filming on what felt like real sets and real locations. You can tell from watching this production teaser they're filming in real locations again, and I'm very excited to revisit Andor after all this time.
We love it. We love to see it.
Yes. Any I guess the suckiest part about Andor is that we know that it backs up to Rogue One, so hopefully we get that nice closure at the end of the series before we get there. Mm-hmm. Shifting gears into James Cameron's universe yet again, Avatar 3 is officially titled Avatar: Fire and Ash. And the rumored title was, I believe, the Seed Bearer from those leaks several years ago. But the Fire Na'vi, which we have some concept art here, have been rumored for several years. So we've got the logo, the red A this time. It's not the blue A. We're not getting the water ones. We're getting the fire ones. And if you look at it, it kind of... These Fire Na'vi are creepy as hell to look at.
Yeah, I love it. This is something really cool that often people complain about in like Star Wars worlds or fantasy space worlds, where you go to one planet and everything is the same all over it. Mm-hmm. It's almost like there's not like a gigantic rock that might take you lifetimes to see even just small corners of it. So it's kind of fun to see like the entire planet of Pandora flesh out of just like, oh, not only are like the Na'vi all over this world, but since they live in different biomes and they've evolved like separately, they will have like different like physicalities and stuff. But yeah, I do like the creepiness of this. Yeah, like so like obviously there's a fire thing going on here. These are gray skinned Na'vi. They're wearing like very... It kind of looks like they're practiced in witchcraft, if I'm going to be honest, to go back to that. Uh-huh. And some of these designs even give me, like, the Last of Us vibes. Like, whatever they're wearing on their heads look like fungus rather than... yeah. Or, like, Silent Hill, like a Silent Hill demon creature.
Yeah. It's so wild to look at this, and I recommend everyone kind of dive into this image we've linked in the show notes here, because it's just one image of a bunch of Na'vi around a fire pit, but boy, does it open up a lot of questions, and that has me kind of excited to go back in here again. Don't bet against James Cameron, because he will prove you wrong every time. Mm-hmm. I know we didn't say it a couple weeks ago, but the other producer on the movies, John Landau, passed away unexpectedly. So I don't think it'll affect the production of the movies at all, but it is sad to see someone who's helped shepherd this franchise through be lost so soon. So we're sorry to hear that. Also, Avatar 3, they did confirm December 19th, 2025. So not this year, but next Christmas. So they're going to be working on that. The fire effects, polishing that CGI for a little bit.
Yeah.
Tron Ares had a unofficial teaser shown as well. And I sent it to you. I don't know if you watched it, but it seems to be like, oh, we're hitting all the... I'm very mixed feelings about this. I'm going to admit that before I go into this. So they're like, oh, we're not going to go to AI. We're going to bring... the internet to us, and it's all about bringing programs out of the grid into the world, and that person happens to be Jared Leto, which is a travesty for my behalf. But watching them bring light cycles into a busy city intersection was hella cool on this footage as well.
It seems like, the logical evolution, right? We've gone into Tron. Now at the second one, I know it was kind of at the end of the movie. We brought somebody out, and now we're gonna kind of blend them together a little bit. Yep. Yeah, light cycles out in the world. That's cool. Also, it just reminds me, the only thing anyone cares about is that Nine Inch Nails is going to do the music for this movie. Yeah, which goes to show you nobody's really ever cared about these movies except for Daft Punk did the second one. Nine Inch Nails is doing this one. And that seems to be about it.
I have a soft spot for the second one. I don't. The original one doesn't do it for me, but the second one does, because I like when you commit to an aesthetic, a style, they are carrying that forward and updating it. It was really cool to see that. Obviously, Daft Punk, the soundtrack was huge. I'm a huge Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor fan. Mike, you know this. So whatever, my wife showed me the logo, and I saw how they. Did you see the clip of how they unveiled it in the thing? Like, they used the red lasers, like it was the Tron lasers, to etch out the logo. Two lasers to that. It was really cool to see that. So. While I am very mixed feelings, I don't like Jared Leto, and it seems kind of weird to be doing another Tron movies. The soundtrack and some of these action scenes had me hooked. Jeff Bridges returning to play not Clue, I forget his name in it. Flynn.
I don't know if anybody really cares so much about the canon of the movie,
but Jeff Bridges coming back is important.
Yeah.
But it seems like a darker, more intense Tron universe, whatever. But October 10th, 2025. So they are pushing for it for next year. I will be excited. I will be excited to hear more about this movie, Mike. Not necessarily see more. We're going to shift gears. We kind of talked about the stuff that's kind of relevant to the show. But this stuff will affect people who do listen to the show. So maybe you want to be the cool person at the office or with your family when you're talking about some Disney stuff. So we're going to go through a couple other things that were announced along the way at D23s in the Disney Pixar realm. So obviously, Moana 2 official trailer was released. We have a link in the show notes. For a movie that was originally a show on Disney Plus that has been restitched / edited and fixed to be a movie, seems pretty cool. It seems like to be Moana 2. Like, it feels very much in the vibe of the original. It seems to be an actual villain this time rather than we got to go take the stone to an island. So it seems to be someone actually involved. There's some mysterious islands that are hidden, and obviously the reveal that Moana has a younger sister in this as well.
I'm like you said, this was originally going to be a series, so I'm going to be way over analyzing this movie more than I would any other Disney animation sequel, of just like, oh, is this going to be, are we entering episode 2? Is this would have been like, halfway through the series where we're at right now. So I would love to see like a behind the scenes, but they would never do that. Disney would never like officially show how they just scrapped a bunch of television work and cobbled it into a movie.
Yeah, they did that. I mean, I would like to think that hopefully it's more than just calling like, hey, we had, maybe it was 2 or 3 episodes and we were able to stitch it together pretty well and add some more. But I think to me, one of my favorite characters in the first one is Hey, the little rooster. So he's in here. Not a big fan of the pig coming along. The Pua pig, not a big fan. I was happy he wasn't the main sidekick in the first one, but we'll see how this goes. Will it have enough energy to beat Inside Out 2 this year? I don't know. Don't bet against Disney, Mike. They bring the money. Kids love it. Not unexpectedly, Toy Story 5 was announced to be releasing summer 2026. And the premise of this is the toys coming up against tablets and technology with kids. And they did include an image showing it looks to be Bonnie on a tablet and the toys looking longingly at her under this.
Incredibly depressing look at the world right now. It's very true, though. It's not like it's not happening. There is a part of me that worries that this concept severely ages the movie just in one single generation or even a decade. I haven't rewatched Wreck-It Ralph 2, but something tells me that does not hold up anymore, even though that was trying to be as modern as it could. I'm more curious why Woody's back.
Yeah, Woody
Wasn't
and
the whole last
Forky,
movie
right?
supposed to be like it was supposed to be like his swan song of like sending Woody off into the sunset. So
that's kind of how I looked at it. I'm like, oh, is this like a take place in between Toy Story 3 and 4 was my initial thoughts, right? Like, oh, like a midquill. But like Forky being there means that this is 100% after 4. So they're going to, I would say Toy Stories have been great. We railed on 4, then 4 came out and it was a pretty good movie. Not going to bet against 5. Pixar's been, proven that they are a strong studio and can do strong, well stories, even if it's technology of the time. But, they're going to have to do that legwork to bring Woody back. Like, they're going to have to, he left and stay there and another part of the country. And these are like toys. It's like trying to get like a cat to cross the country, right? Like to find their owners. Like, that only happens in Homeward Bound. But that's a whole movie to get there rather than this. So we'll see. We'll play it by ear and let you guys know. 2026, you think, I don't know. That's 2 years. Probably too old for a 2-year-old child to go to the movie, Mike. But
yeah, it's funny with a lot of the Disney parks announcement over the weekend, and then a lot of these big kind of timeline reveals for Marvel coming up, and Star Wars. I'm like, oh, how old is my kid going to be when this stuff comes out? Like, are you going to be old enough to appreciate this quite yet?
I've been putting the timeline in terms of your kid as well. I'm like, is this going to hit Mike more than he thinks it's going to hit him right now? Because right now, like, Toy Story 5 means nothing to you, but in 3 years, when you have to watch Toy Story 5 for the 18th time that day,
yeah, exactly.
Is it going to mean something? So I'm interested as well. I love this little experiment. I get to watch from the side. Incredibles 3 is at the works at Pixar. Obviously, Bob Iger several years ago said, hey, we're going to be focusing on things that work. It sounds like they are literally working on things that have gotten the money before in the past. So no surprise, Incredible 3 is in the works at Pixar. I didn't love 2. I couldn't tell you a single thing about it other than the Elastigirl bicycle that split apart.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. And then the screensaver villain, which is, like I was just saying, another kind of storyline of just like, oh yeah, screen's bad. I get it. You didn't need to be a whole movie about that.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll kind of take it on, the chin. Be like, oh yeah, we didn't really knock out of the park with the sequel. Let's kind of bring things back around for the third one.
Yeah, it obviously worked for Cars. No, I'm kidding. Frozen 3 is in the works at Disney. Obviously, I think Frozen 2 is the #1 animated movie ever still, with Inside Out 2 behind it. So obviously, where's your cash?
No,
at?
I think Inside Out 2 did beat it.
Oh, did it?
Just the other week. I think so.
Top animated movies, box office. I'm going to look it up real fast. I believe you. I just want to I'm curious what would be the highest grossing in the world. But yeah, go ahead.
I feel like you could copy and paste my thoughts about Incredibles 2 and just paste it into my thoughts of Frozen 2 as well. Let's bring it back around. Let's make the third one better.
Yeah. Frozen 2 won. Yeah, you're right. It did pass it by $100,000. So you are correct. The Lion King 2019, which isn't animated, but it is animated, I guess, is still the highest one of all time. So congratulations. Disney owning the top spots. I think Frozen 3, I don't have a problem with Frozen 2. But obviously I don't think we're the main audience for Frozen movies. So as long as they get to sing "Let It Go" and get the Olaf toys out there in the world, they're gonna have a good time. We're gonna first look at Zootopia 2. I don't like Zootopia. I'm gonna put it out there, Mike. It's not my favorite movie. I don't want to rewatch it. I know.
I'm the opposite. I love Zootopia.
Yeah, so it's not my thing. It's nothing against it. I don't think it's bad. I just didn't jive with it, so didn't gel with it. So we got to first look at the Zootopia 2 characters. It seems, obviously we have Judy Rabbit, and I forget the fox's name.
Nick Weil.
So voiced by Jason Bateman. He voiced over the intro for the reveal of the Zootopia 2 title. So looks to be a good time. I'm hoping to maybe I can warm up to the idea of Inside Out 2 when it comes around. But they've been kind of threatening us with this for a long time. They're like, we're gonna do it, and nothing's really come of it. So hopefully they can get something done with that along the way. Lastly, we got our first live action look at Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. There's a little video clip. You don't like it?
Made my stomach turn. The reveal there's like footage of inside the Honda Center.
Yeah, he's like walking through it. Yeah,
and that was cool because they even had like pyrotechnics. They had like a glitching screen. Then they had like a spark shoot off like in the ceiling, and then Stitch like kind of rips through the fabric of the screen. And like, I don't know. This is just, I love Lilo and Stitch. It's such a beautifully animated film. And then when I see like a 3D rendered Stitch, it just makes me like, ugh, what am I looking at? What is this gross little thing in front of me?
That's kind of what he was, though. But that's what he was. He was supposed to be a gross little thing. So I think they nailed that.
I guess. I mean, if long-time listeners of the show know that I do not indulge in pretty much any live-action Disney remakes. So is this going to be the one that finally gets me to watch one? I don't know. But I did get weird feelings when I saw it.
I think the thing with me is, they can't do very well, or they didn't do very well in the original Lilo Stitch, is to tell how furry he is. I think the fur throws me off because I expect him to be more as an alien, like I wouldn't say maybe a smoother skin, maybe not necessarily fur. And that's what's getting me because he looks like a plushie at the end of the day. But boy, they have really like ironed out that Stitch voice, like that little like high pitched, kind of thing. It sounds just like if I close my eyes, I'm like, am I watching the animated version of this?
Oh yeah.
It does. Lilo and Stitch is not big in our house. My wife is one of her movies that she just like doesn't jive with either, so we don't have a lot of it. But I did not know that it was going to be originally a Disney Plus movie, but they are now they moved it to a summer 2025 theatrical release. So it looks like they're going to be trying to cash in some money on this movie along the way. I don't have it in my notes here. I should. Disney also recorded their first streaming profit since Disney Plus came out this quarter. They had the earnings call, I guess, or whatever they call their quarterly call.
Yeah, they had a quarterly. It's pretty funny too. It was pretty much good news across the board for the quarterly earnings, but I think the stock price went down because like the market was just bad all asset. Any sort of like podcast that I listen to that is like tangentially related to like the news or like the market or the economy was like, oh, everything's bad, everything's crashing, and then by the end of the week everyone's like, hey, actually it's not so bad, I think we're gonna be okay. And it's just what's the point?
Tech had I don't listen a lot, but I follow a lot of tech stuff. The cost of AI was catching up to a lot of companies, like the cost of streaming caught up to a lot of companies. But they were able to pull. They were projected to do earnings, I think, or profit next year, maybe, or maybe even at the end of this year. It was earlier than what they projected, so that was good that they're turning a profit on the streaming. That means that we're probably going to, at least be maintaining Disney Plus for a long time, unlike some other companies who may tank or fold, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. So I'm excited for that. On the other news, the thing I'm not excited for is the price of Disney Plus is going up, but I feel like content is going away from Disney Plus. So that value is going to be, I think, weighed heavier here in Q3, Q4 of the year for people who have it. Last bit of news to tie together is Warner Brothers Discovery is just David Zaslav's just a shit person. I'm going to say it out loud, and for everybody knows how we already feel. But Warner Brothers reported a loss of $10 billion for the company, and the stock's already record all-time low. So this is after 2 years of a David Zaslav leadership, including shelving movies that weren't made. They also shelved Genndy Tartakovsky's R-rated animated film he was working on.
Like the Bad Dogs or something like that.
It was like neutered or something. I don't know, something like that. But like now, mind you, might have been made by Sony, so they may be able to shop it around still. But absolutely horrible news for that. They have been blaming it on the TV channels. They lost exclusive rights to, I think maybe something on TNT lost exclusive rights this year. So obviously money's gonna be down for that. Commercial market's just not what it used to be for regular TV. I don't know a lot of people who still watch cable, if I'm going to be completely honest, or satellite television. So that is absolutely probably the right thing. But also, Max isn't something I think about when I wake up anymore. So I don't know if I'm going there either. So not really helping them, but I'm not, happy with Warner Brothers at the end of the day with everything they've been doing. And that leads me to my next point, Mike, unless you had something else you want to talk about Warner Brothers, if you want to just poke that bear.
If you want me to complain about them, this is the next topic. Perfect.
So Cartoon Network, their website was shut down randomly. I think it was right after the earnings call, or the report call for Warner Brothers was completely shut down, and now redirects to Max to subscribe and watch shows. Now, mind you couldn't watch free shows on Cartoon Network, but they had a lot of clips or special things you could watch and interact with, learn about the shows. But now it's completely fucking gone, just right to Max. They don't even care.
Just leave it to Zaslav to absolutely destroy some of the strongest branded content in entertainment, which is Cartoon Network and HBO. He took those two logos and threw them in the garbage disposal and flushed them as fast as he could. Like, are you kidding me? Like, the only thing that rivals Cartoon Network as a brand would be Nickelodeon, and these have been around for decades. And you already see like the 180 that they're trying to do with HBO, where now every new Max original is now actually called like an HBO Studios thing or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the nomenclature was. So it's just like, what are you doing? Like, is Adult Swim the next thing to be like flushed down the toilet and just redirect everything to Max? I'm honestly surprised Zaslav is still in charge and he hasn't been fired yet. I don't know when his contract's up for renegotiation, but I'm sure there's no longevity to his strategy. Yeah. I've seen lots of, I guess they're not really conspiracy theories because it's not like, this is like a geopolitical conflict or anything, but some people are thinking like, he's just desperately trying to create some short-term gains because pretty much every CEO's compensation is tied to performance of the company. So it seems like he's just trying to do his best to bump the stock a little bit so he can cash out and, I don't know, go run some AI company next or something.
No, you probably wouldn't do that. You'd probably find the next sunken TV station or like streaming service or media. But like, obviously it's not working because the stocks are low. He's not doing well. He did come in like, we're going to do cost saving measures and all this other stuff, and obviously it didn't work. And that just show you when you come in, you can talk the talk, but you can't walk the walk, and you're ruining it for everybody. So I hope his whatever his 50 million plus payday is a year, I hope he chokes. But anyways, that's the show this week. I like D23 weekends, Mike. I forget how, again, every 2 years, I just love going to D23 news articles and refreshing and seeing all this stuff. But hopefully it comes out. Anything stand out to you? That's what I was going to ask you before we wrap up the show. The best favorite part.
I just always like the park announcements are always really fun because as Josh D'Amaro said on stage, he's like, we're moving dirt, and that's always really exciting, right? When a movie or a TV show is made, it's a kind of like a digital product that you watch, but it's always fun to hear about things being constructed and built, and are meant to stand the test of time mostly. We didn't really talk about much of it on the show, but they did announce a really cool Monsters Inc. land at Disney World, and there's like this cool ride where you're going to be able to ride along the rails that the doors are attached to in the Monster Laugh Factory. But Chris, I was gonna tell you that the prevailing theory is that they might be getting rid of the Muppet world, and people are getting their pitchforks and torches ready if the Muppets get taken out of the park for Monsters Inc.
The problem, I guess the idea I have of that is I've been to the Muppet world. It's one building and a little restaurant. Like, there's no way you could put a whole Monsters Inc. land there. So I'm like, maybe hopefully they build off Toy Story Land rather than in there. But I would be very sad if the Muppets, Pizza Rizzo and the Muppet 4D thing went away. I would probably find a way to buy some memorabilia from the Muppet 4D studio because I love that thing so much. So
that would be cool. You're competing with John Stamos.
Yeah,
he was one of the presenters at the parks panel, and I guess he owns one of like the Disneyland like original signages. It's like in his backyard or something. Wow. So that's who you're competing with when it comes to buying this stuff.
What? If it goes to him, I'd be happy. That's fine. I know who he is. I know he'd respect it, but so that works out. All right, Mike. Well, that's the episode for this week. We keep it nice and tight, but if people know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at, buddy?
Yeah, you can read my webcomics at liferewardsrisk.com and pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where are you?
Find me on Instagram, Valdan87, Valdan, or Video Game Systems with the same name. If people know more about our show, what we're doing, where can they get all them good stuff, including that Gen Con review episodes we did this week?
All of our goodies over at superheroslate.com. That's the best place to find all the avenues we host our show and to get our awesome kick-ass show notes. A lot of blue links in the show notes this week, so you want to go head on over to superheroslate.com to check out those links. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to find podcasts like our own. We've got merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. What was your favorite announcement from D23 this weekend? What did they miss out on? What are you still waiting to hear for? Because those are kind of the two big conventions. They're done for this year, so now we kind of just wait for drips of information, which is, I guess, kind of our specialty here at the show. So make sure you're subscribed, and if you want to be a super fan of the show, all you have to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we'll be here every week, folks.
That's right. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.